Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about Michigan demons going all in on generation sterilization. What do I mean by that? I mean, apparently, there is a amendment to an abortion bill in Michigan that is literally going to allow kids to permanently sterilize and disfigure themselves. We're going to talk about it here in a second. And while we're at it, we're also going to mention before this episode is over, we're going to talk about that Myra Flores chick who got into Congress here in the past year and how the guy who was a career politician against her and stuff like that previously. He's basically trying to inflame shit and make her look worse than she is and stuff like that, which the thing I will say about that chick is, dude, I've looked into her a couple times here since she's gotten into office, and she portrayed herself as very much an America first candidate. She is 100% Mexican first, dude, and it makes sense when you're born in Mexico is what it is, and then you try to claim that you're sort of dual citizenship and stuff like that, and then you're sitting there passing amnesty bills for you know a whole bunch of Mexican folks to come over here and work through like visas and stuff like that instead of actually, I don't know, backing Americans for fucking working in places and actually giving them a living wage to do so is what it is, dude. So that's pretty much my biggest problem with that chick in general. But you know, outside of that, I think there's a lot of things that Myra and myself would actually agree upon. And there's a lot of things that, like I said before on this channel and other casts that I've been part of, there's a lot of legal Hispanics in this country that hate illegals is what it is, dude, because they understand that even they're being undercut by these motherfuckers is what it is. So, it is what it is. But anyway, on to the main topic of the day, which is going to be this article from the Federalist. I think there's also, it's a story that they did, but it's also a story that a bunch of other sites picked up on and done their own articles about it and stuff like that. We just happened to find this one first is what it was. So anyway, it said Michigan is hiding a children's constitutional right to genital amputation in its abortion amendment. Fucking disgusting. This is from yesterday, by the way. Yeah, just completely fucking Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Actually, it's funny though the picture that they used here because this picture right here pretty much looks like one of the caravans that's come over here to America in the last like 5 years or so, dude. So it's not just people from, Central American countries. It's different Asian nations. It's different, African nations, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, says Prop 3 isn't about codifying Roe. It's about sacrificing the children of Michigan, both born and unborn. Said in less than 1 month, if Proposal 3 passes, children will have a right under the Michigan Constitution to walk into one of Planned Parenthood's 12 so-called, quote, gender-affirming facilities in the state without parental knowledge or consent, obtain puberty blockers, and with Planned Parenthood of Michigan promising gender-affirming care via telehealth in the coming months, Michiganders' kids won't even need to leave their homes to obtain these sterilizing drugs. Dude, that is so fucking disgusting entirely. And like I said, man, and this is exactly why we have to vote at this point, dude. Because we have to stop shit like this from actually becoming a thing in general, dude. And I'm just going to say it like it is, dude. Anybody that was behind this Prop 3 thing, because my assumption is that it was actually a petitioned thing to put on their ballot, is what it was. And it's like, yeah, any group behind this stuff, dude, needs to be in jail right now for this kind of crap, dude. Because you look at all that shit, dude. And this is why I'm writing that book, Generation Sterilization, is you have so many of these kids nowadays who are being targeted by just sick fuckers, is what it is, dude. And the problem is, when they are indoctrinating youth to their side through the school systems, through becoming teachers and educators and stuff like that, enough is enough of it, dude. And then when you have them legitimately being like, oh no, kids, you can totally be on these hormone drugs and not have a puberty or delay your puberty or some bullshit like that, and somehow you're going to have puberty at some point in your lives, and it's like, no, you're not, dude. Ask Jazz Jennings that shit, dude, if they ever had fucking puberty for being on blockers. No, they did not. And guess what? That kid got fucked up, man. Because they tried to do the trans surgery on them, and they didn't have enough fucking material to even do the shit properly. Because they didn't go through puberty and stuff like that, dude. Now, granted, that child is a different story altogether. Their whole family is fucked in the head, and that really was a money grab for them. You know, you can look into that whole thing of how they basically use their child as a prop, basically, is what it was, to make a fuck ton of money. And yeah, it's just a bunch of sick shit like that, dude. But for a lot of these people, and by people I mean a lot of these, you know, single mothers or just women in general, that, you know, are like, oh no, my child is a trans girl now, or whatever the case be. It's like, no, you're just fucking Munchausen syndrome by proxy, bitch. Go get fucking mental help that you need, seriously. And like I said, I don't know if it's the water supply, if it's the food supply, if it's both, if it's all the forever chemicals in our, you know, fucking soil and shit like that anymore, or what it is, dude. There's a lot of problems with this country right now that definitely have to do with, you know, big pharma, big agro, all that stuff like that, dude. And, you know, when you have estrogen, that's another forever chemical in our water supply, and you wonder why all these dudes are becoming, you know, low testosterone counts, low sperm counts, everything else like that. And you have a lot of these young boys now who are becoming very feminized at young ages and stuff like that before puberty. And then you have some of these young girls now that are, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old having their period for the first time. It's a big fucking issue, dude, and it has to do with all the estrogen supply in our water supply is what it is, dude, especially major cities across this country. And nobody ever wants to talk about that, though. That's why I will, honestly. So, anyway, continuing on with the rest of this article, though, it said, deceptive marketing by Planned Parenthood and far-left politicians such as Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who, by the way, Whitmer herself should be literally facing death penalty charges for crimes against humanity at this point, dude, for the shit she's pulled in the past couple of years. Whether it be helping kill a bunch of Michigan people there under the lockdowns or everything else like that, dude, just like Cuomo and fucking a lot of other lefty fucking governors and shit like that, and also people like DeWine and shit like that, dude, because they all did it. They all put us under lockdowns. They all committed mass atrocities. You know, a lot of the Democrat ones like Whitmer and stuff like that, and Wolf and, you know, Newsom, etc. I know Jay Inslee did it. I know that Phil Murphy in New Jersey did it. Put sick people in nursing homes with old folks and stuff like that. Killed a bunch of old folks that way is what it was. And, you know, they should all be facing mass murder charges at this point, dude. Seriously. Crimes against humanity is what it is. And then obviously the respirator stuff that's all come out since then. And yeah, it's a bunch of shit show, man. That's what it is. But none of them are. And that's the problem with our, you know, 3-4 tier justice system is what it is, dude. As long as you're a Democrat and fucking, you know, willing to suck the fucking party line dick is what it is, you're perfectly fine. You're going to go with murder is what it is, man. It's fucking disgusting entirely. And the biggest problem is minimum these people should have life imprisonment right now for that kind of stuff, dude. But like I said, truthfully, if you look at crimes against humanity, it's supposed to be death penalty. So, and honestly, it should be military tribunal at this point, honestly, where it would just be, you know, like literally military rule would happen, where it would be, you know, trial by military in this country. And then it would basically be, for most of them, a firing squad after the fact. So, because truthfully, I mean, technically it could be, you know, public hanging and stuff like that as well, because it would be like, you know, if we look at high treason and shit like that, it would also kind of fall under the high treason thing as well, because they're trying to destroy the sovereignty of this nation is what it is. So, anyway, yeah, it's a bunch of stuff there, dude. But, anywho, yeah, going back to that, said, yeah, coming months, Michiganders' kids won't even need to leave their home to obtain these sterilizing drugs. Said passage of Prop 3 will give boys a constitutional right to be castrated and girls a right under Michigan's constitution to be sterilized by way of a hysterectomy or removal of their ovaries, all without parental consent. So deceptive marketing by Planned Parenthood and far-left politicians such as Governor Gretchen Whitmer hides this reality from Michigan voters, leading Prop 3 to be uniformly referred to as the abortion amendment, even though the expensive language of the proposed constitutional amendment reaches far beyond abortion. And on abortion alone, notwithstanding proponents' claims that, quote, passing this amendment simply restores the same protections that Michiganders have had for 5 decades under Roe versus Wade. Well, first of all, and this is the problem I have with the whole, you know, fucking Democrats running on the abortion debate thing here is what it is after Roe versus Wade overturning and stuff like that now. You never had a constitutional right to kill a child in the womb, you fucking stupid cunts. You were always committing murder. The only thing that Roe versus Wade did, which, by the way, the whole passage of Roe versus Wade, Jane Roe herself, dude, that model, whatever her name was, that was actually Jane Roe, that one of the moniker Jane Roe, she actually was proven to have been paid by fucking like big pharma lobbyists, dude, to come out and be like, oh yeah, I'm totally pro-abortion, bro. And then take that all the way to Supreme Court is what it was. Which, mind you, she didn't even have an abortion because the kid was born before that fucking ruling happened, dude. And then she even went back to the Ruth Bader Ginsburg and company in the 90s, back then when the Supreme Court was run by Ginsburg, back then, and was like, dude, please overturn this. I've seen what it's done for the past 20 years or so to kids, and how many, unborn children have been murdered because of this bullshit. And they're like, nah, no, we're not going to take up the case. And yeah, it wasn't until fucking, 2022 that they finally took up the Dobbs decision and finally, overturned this bullshit is what it was. But yeah, it's just so fucking insane to me, dude. But the worst thing of it is, right, these same fucking piece of shit Democrats, the Whitmers of the world, the fucking Tim Ryans of the world, the Nan Whaley's of the world, all of them across the board, dude, I would say in about 80 to 90% of the cases, have kids themselves. Have their own generation after them to succeed them is what it is, dude. But yet they're talking about killing your kids in the womb. Or it's these fucking celebrities out there that are like, oh, we're not going to give you, fucking any kind of parental health care and stuff like that if you actually leave the workforce and have a kid and stuff like that, no maternity leave or anything like that. But oh no, we'll pay for your abortions because we just want a fucking giant thing of what you call it. And honestly, I was talking to one of my long-term subs the other day about this whole thing, and he was mentioning something about how he thinks a lot of this transgender stuff, whether it be them trying to turn guys into guys into girls, and then girls into guys now and stuff like that, is especially with the trans man thing. It's basically they want a continuous workforce, and they know if these chicks are now claiming to be men and stuff like that, and can't actually have kids because they've permanently sterilized themselves, or had hysterectomies or whatever it was, dude, or double mastectomy and stuff like that, and have been on sterilization drugs to where they can't get pregnant and stuff. Then it becomes a whole thing of, okay, cool, you're just going to be at work for the next 20 years of your life. Then that'd be the case, and they can just work you like a fucking debt slave is what it is, man, for real. So yeah, very disgusting. But anyway, it says where are we at now? Yeah, it said Prop 3 goes far beyond the controlling Roe/Casey precedent. If passed, the constitutional amendment would create an extreme regime in Michigan of abortion on demand at any time for any reason without informed or parental consent and paid for by the taxpayers. So pretty much what Michigan's trying to do there is they're trying to do the exact same thing that piece of shit Andrew Cuomo did in New York, which was abortion on demand up to moment of birth stuff, dude. And I think even in some cases there, it was beyond birth. It just goes back to what that son of a bitch Roth Northam said in Virginia a few years ago when he was governor there, and was like, oh, we're going to keep the babies comfortable until mom figures it out. And it's like, that's a fucking living child, you sick fucking demon pedophile piece of shit. And yet you're going to sit there and talk about offing kids after birth? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And that's the entire thing, dude. These people are literal fucking demons walking around, dude. So, anyway, getting on here, it says, the expansive and logistically worded language of Prop 3 crafted by Planned Parenthood and left-wing backers, which, by the way, that alone is why this entire proposition there in Michigan should be fucking null and void, because it was literally a fucking Planned Parenthood created lobbying bullshit, dude. It's just like the same kind of shit that you had with Bloomberg and Moms Demand Action create here in Ohio back in 2019, and the exact reason why I became a full-blown constitutionalist, Second Amendment activist, advocate, etc., is because of the fact that you had these motherfuckers, the Bloomberg types of the world, literally be lobbying groups down in Columbus, Ohio, and made a copy and paste document to try to push red flag legislation, universal background checks, etc., on every person in the state of Ohio after the unfortunate tragedy that was a Dayton massacre, which, by the way, was committed by an Antifa and BLM allied motherfucker, dude. You can look into that if you want to, because I everything I say on this channel, dude, I have done the research into, and I can tell you that for a fact. That piece of shit that did Dayton massacre in 2019, dude, had ties to Antifa and BLM both, and it can be proven through his Twitter account, which the feds were not able to get to before that. And thankfully, people were able to screenshot a bunch of that stuff, dude. So, anyway. But yeah, as I said here, it said, it was crafted by Planned Parenthood and left-wing backers. However, extends beyond abortion to create a constitutional right to several aspects of what transgender activists call, quote, gender-affirming care, which, by the way, I could probably pull up something from the last Ohio General Assembly back in 2019, 2020, where it was some sick demon fucking cunt pieces of shit here that were all Democrats, by the way, who were trying to pass similar legislation here in Ohio. They introduced those. They introduced that those bills and stuff like that, dude. And of course, they went nowhere. And then you had Republican supermajority here do the right thing and introduce other stuff that was the opposite thing. That also went nowhere, is what it was, unfortunately. And yeah, then you have pieces of shit like Randy Clates lose their state congressional seat to Sarah Fowler Arthur, I believe is what it was. I think that's the one that she lost. Or maybe it was Gail Pavgia that beat her. I can't remember. It was one of those two, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you had Republicans flip that fucking seat because Randy was a fucking nut, dude, is what it was. Yeah, Randy Clates is a fucking psychotic lunatic, dude, in this state. And she was, I believe, the primary sponsor or one of the two primary sponsors of that legislation, dude, when it came to try to quote unquote gender affirming kids here is what it was. And we're like, no, you're not sterilizing our fucking children, you sick fucking cunt. Fuck you. Anyway, but yeah, that's the problem with this too as well. You have all these sickos and stuff like that. And actually, I'm going to tell a story here after we finish this article about a recent thing here at one of the school boards in Ohio when it comes to transgenderism, and why I've said before, this, you know, the squeak wheel gets the grease when it's all these people that are like the loudest motherfuckers in the room, even though they're like the smallest fucking minority possible in the room is what it is, dude. Where it's just like shriek, 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 scream, scream, scream. Shut the fuck up, children. Adults are talking now. Is what needs to be said back to them at that point. So seriously. Anyway. Yeah, I'm going to go back and start rereading this whole thing right here in this paragraph that we're on right now, which is said the expansive and legislatively legislatively worded language of Prop 3, crafted by Planned Parenthood and far-left backers, however, extends beyond abortion to create a constitutional right to several aspects of what transgender activists call gender-affirming care, despite it being neither affirming nor caring, and Prop 3 extends that right to all individuals, including children. So this is not merely a political point, and it is not a worst-case scenario argument based on how some liberal activist judge or justice might interpret Prop 3. This reality flows from the plain language of Prop 3 and rests on the general legal principles of constitutional construction. It's right in the text. It said, here is the printed language, Prop 3, will eke into the Michigan Constitution as Article 1, Section 28, with the key language underscored. 1. Every individual has a fundamental right to reproductive freedom, which entails the right to make and effecate, I don't even know how to pronounce that word, decisions about all matters relating to pregnancy, including but not limited to maternal care, childbirth, postpartum care, contraception, sterilization, abortion care, so child murder is what they're saying on that one, miscarriage management and infertility care. An individual's right to reproductive freedom shall not be denied, burdened, nor infringed upon unless justified by a compelling state interest achieved by the least restrictive means. Good fucking God, dude. 2. The state shall not discriminate in the protection or enforcement of this fundamental right. 4. For the purpose of this section, a state interest is, quote, compelling only if it is for the limited purpose of protecting the health of an individual seeking care, consistent with accepted clinical standards of practice and evidence-based medicine, and does not infringe upon the individual's autonomous decision-making. 5. This section shall be self-executing. What in the fuck, dude? Seriously. It says Prop 3 applies to men and women and boys and girls. Said by its express terms, Prop 3 applies to every individual and guarantees an individual right. The proposed constitutional amendment further provides that the state shall not discriminate in the protection or enforcement of this fundamental right. As a matter of constitutional interpretation, then, the rights guaranteed by Prop 3 would be rights by both adults and children possessed as individuals, and the rights apply equally to males and females. This proposal represents a huge demarcation from controlling Michigan law under which minors must have parental consent to obtain medical treatment or receive prescription medications, as it should be, by the way, because again, you're a fucking child, dude. You could be a fucking 5-year-old for that matter, dude. And it's like, yes, my 5-year-old like needs something for, the flu or some shit like that. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sign up as their fucking parent to get them, some meds or whatever it is, dude. It's not, oh, my fucking 5-year-old thinks they're a fucking boy today, even though they were born a girl. Oh, let's go ahead and fucking chop their fucking tits off and give them a fucking hysterectomy at 5 years old. No, that's fucking insanity, dude. Or it could be 10 or 12 or 14 or whatever the fuck it is, dude. Again, there is a reason why 18 is the legal age of consent in this country. There's a reason why 18 is the legal voting right age. There's a reason why 18 is the legal age to be able to join the fucking military. Et cetera, across the board, dude. Now, granted, in some cases, it used to be 21 for some stuff. It used to be fucking, you used to be able to drink beer at 18 and stuff like that until they upped that to 21 is what it was. But again, that's a different story altogether. We can get to that, all the day long is what it is. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they're like just wanting to fuck people over is what it was, dude. And then again, it could be people just, going on the whole case of like, oh, well, look at how many 18-year-olds had car crashes and stuff like that because they were drunk behind the wheel kind of bullshit like that. That's how that probably passed back in the day. It's like the same exact way how they tried to pass prohibition back in the day, being all like, oh, but it's vices and da-da-da. And then all you do is create a black market, dude, is what it was. But anyway, it said, yeah, we're right now. Yeah, it said parental consent to obtain medical treatment or receive prescription medications, with the only current exception being the judicial bypass provisions governing minors seeking abortions. So you don't have to get parental consent to have an abortion as a minor in the state of Michigan? I would even say that's kind of fucked up, honestly, dude. So, anyway, yeah, so specifically, Michigan law currently provides that to obtain an abortion, females under the age of 18 must have written consent of one parent or legal guardian, but the law allows a girl to seek permission for an abortion by a judge called a judicial bypass. A court must grant a judicial bypass if the judge finds either that the minor is significantly mature or well enough informed to make the decision regarding abortion independently of her parents or legal guardian, or the waiver would be in the best interest of the minor. So basically what they're saying is potentially it would be, and I'm assuming a lot of that would have to do with like rape and incest and stuff like that, which by the way is a lot less people think it is, dude, is what it is. It still happens, but it doesn't happen as much as they want to sit there and claim it does, dude. It's just like how the whole thing with abortion to begin with was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare. But of course now it's all these fucking pieces of shit out there and our modern day and age and stuff like these throwaway feminist types that are all like, I'm gonna shout my abortion from the fucking rooftops, and this was the best Planned Parenthood I ever went to go get an abortion. My name is Martha Plimpton. Fuck that cunt, by the way. She killed River Phoenix's kid, man. She was pregnant with his child when she killed that kid in the womb, and I forget what year it was, but it happened in Seattle, Washington at some Planned Parenthood. Because she said that a few years ago at some shout your abortion bullshit. So yeah, fuck her, man, for real. Destroying that man's legacy. Anyway, continuing with this article, though, it said, in the context of abortion, Prop 3 guts Michigan's requirements for either parental consent or judicial bypass, first by declaring that the amendment applies to all individuals, and secondly, by expressly providing that the state shall not discriminate in the protection of or enforcement of a fundamental right, treating females under the age of 18 differently than those 18 or over, and is a textbook example of discrimination. It says, Section 4 of the amendment further cements the reality that minors must be treated equally to adults. For purposes of the rights of Prop 3 would establish, this section of the proposed amendment expressly limits the justifications allowed for regulating abortion or the other rights Prop 3 would inscribe in the Constitution. Under Section 4, the state may only regulate abortion and the other rights covered by the proposed constitutional amendment if it is necessary to protect the health of the individual seeking care or does not infringe on the individual's autonomous decision-making. The rights of parents do not matter. Mom and dad have no rights, and even the health of the girl does not matter because under the plain language of the amendment, the state's interest cannot infringe on the individual's autonomous decision-making. Said this legal analysis flows straight from the plain language of Prop 3, but case law from the other states where a state constitutional right to abortion exists confirms this analysis. For example, in Alaska and Florida, courts have declared parental consent and parental notification statutes unconstitutional, and courts in California, Massachusetts, and New Jersey have struck parental rights statutes entirely. Says Prop 3's grant of such, quote, autonomous decision making is not limited to abortion, however. Rather, the plain language of the proposed constitutional amendment provides that the right to reproductive freedom entails the right to make decisions based on matters relating to pregnancy, including but not limited to sterilization and infertility care. So, literally having a hysterectomy or sterilizing yourself, dude. Through other means. It's just fucking disgusting, dude. It's fucking absolutely sickening, dude. It says in our Michigan law, currently minors cannot be chemically or surgically castrated or rendered infertile without their parents' consent. And even then, most physicians would refuse to sterilize a minor, except in the case of transgender identifying patients. Fucking people, man. It says modern medical community has embraced the transgender ideology that teaches that human beings can be born in the wrong body, and that the appropriate treatment for such individuals consists of making their bodies appear to conform to their, quote, internal sense of gender, which, by the way, this is something that nobody ever talks about, and again, I will. Well, I shouldn't say nobody ever talks about it. There's actually a lot of people talking about it now because they're finally getting platforms to discuss it. Unfortunately, they're still being, shadow banned and stuff like that. But you basically have a lot of kids coming out now, and when I say kids, I mean people that were, 15, 20, whatever, when they had gone down the road to become, a trans man or a trans woman or whatever it is, dude. And now they're realizing at, 25, 30, whatever it is, that no, this is not what I wanted to be at all, dude. And they have detransitioned. And it's that quilt bag mafia, those leftists on the LGBTQ side there, community is what they call themselves, but they're really not. They will turn on you in a fucking dime the second that you come out against them like that, dude. And they will try to ruin your lives and stuff like that, because there was a guy some years back now who's written, I think it's about 6 to 8 books or something, maybe more, not even now, who was one of the first detransitioners. And this man was like 40 something years old, had found God then, and had a bottom surgery like 20 years before that and stuff like that, chopped their dick off and turned it into a pussy is what it was, or a fake pussy, I should say, and ended up realizing after the fact that their whole thing was they were emotionally and psychologically scarred because they had been raped by one of their adult male, either I think it was a grandfather or an uncle or something like that when they were a kid. I forget exactly which it was offhand, but yeah, it was something like that, dude. Where it was they had been shot, they were fucking molested by a fucking child molester, is what it was, dude, as a child, and they had suppressed the fucking memories, is what it was then. And that's what most of this shit is, dude. It's all psychological issues for a lot of these kids, is what it is, dude. Or like that one, teacher woman said in one of our videos recently here. It's, especially with these girls that they're claiming they're trans men now and stuff like that. It's them trying to define an oppression is what it is, dude. Because they're being shit on for being a white girl is what it is. So, anyway. Let's see here now. Yeah, it's the first step in such wrongly named gender-affirming medical response consists of prescribing puberty blockers to children. Puberty blockers, at a minimum, render kids temporarily infertile by preventing them from maturing sexually, and a longer-term use renders them sterile entirely. Said surgical procedures used under the guise of gender confirmation, castration, hysterectomy, and the removal of ovaries likewise sterilizes these patients. In fact, it is the very destruction of children's future fertility and the medical rendering them sterile that has led to several states banning the use of puberty blockers and surgical gender-affirming procedures on minors. For instance, in Iowa, the legislature made these legislative findings to explain its proposed ban on puberty blockers and surgical procedures to sterilize kids. Said puberty blockers prevent gonadal maturation and thus render children taking these drugs infertile, introducing cross-sex hormones to children with immature gonads as a direct result of puberty blockade is expected to cause Irreversible sterility. Sterilization is also permanent for those who undergo surgery to remove reproductive organs. For these reasons, the decision to pursue a course of hormonal and surgical interventions to address a discordance between an individual's sex and sense of gender identity should not be presented to or determined for children who are incapable of comprehending the negative implications of life course difficulties resulting from these interventions. Exactly, dude. And people wonder how we get to Children of Men. This is how we get to Children of Men, dude. You know, for those who've never seen the Children of Men movie, it's literally about fertility and sterility and stuff like that in that time period, dude. And how you've had nobody have a kid for fucking 18 years is what it is. It's like, gee, I wonder why, dude. Maybe because fucking everybody's goddamn fucking with kids fucking with kids gender reproduction and stuff like that. And then you wonder why when you're sterilizing these fucking children, why you can't have a kid for 18 years, dude. It's like not that hard to figure out, bro. Anyway, it says, but in Michigan, if passed, Prop 3 guarantees children the right to make and I still don't know how the fuck to pronounce that word. Efficaciate decision about all matters relating to sterilization and without discrimination, giving boys and girls the right to obtain puberty blockers and surgical sterilization without parental notice or consent. Hang on a sec, I gotta blow my nose. All right, I'm back. Yeah, it says if passed, Section 4 of the proposed constitutional amendment will further guarantee that the Michigan legislature cannot interfere in transgender minors' decision to obtain puberty blockers or surgical gender reassignment through castration, removal of ovaries, or a hysterectomy. That section, as interpreted above, provides that the state may only regulate such procedures for the limited purpose of protecting the health of an individual seeking care, consistent with accepted clinical standards of practice and evidence-based medicine, and then only so long as it does not infringe upon their rights to autonomous decision-making, but the accepted clinical standards of practice by the supposed mainstream medical organizations is at a minimum to provide puberty blockers to kids with a steady street movement towards the cash cow that is surgical interventions for minors. And they fucking admitted this shit, by the way, too, now, dude. All these American medical journalists and shit like that, dude, and everything else like that, these sick fuckers have straight up admitted that shit is a giant cash cow right now, dude, and they're just trying to make as much money as possible off this. So at the end of the day, it all goes back to 7 deadly sins, dude, which is fucking greed, and why these people need to be brought on crimes and community charges right now, dude, and potentially executed publicly because of that shit, dude. Because, again, the penalty for crimes and community is death, period, in the story. And when you're fucking with kids, dude, like, that's the fucking line that never needs to be crossed, dude. And when it is, that's when you need to fucking die, is what it is, dude. I mean that seriously. Anyway, it says Planned Parenthood targets kids one way or another. So again, these conclusions flow directly from the plain language of the proposed constitutional amendment, but here the public would be wise to note two significant facts. Planned Parenthood advocates of Michigan helped lead the ballot initiative to amend the Michigan Constitution through the passage of Prop 3, deceptively described as a reproductive freedom for all amendment, and Planned Parenthood now represents the second largest provider of gender-affirming hormone therapy. How the fuck is this not monopolized shit right there, dude? Seriously. Like, again, this right here, this whole thing right here, what we just read, dude, is exactly fucking why I have said for some time now, corporate lobbying must be banned nationwide. Giant corporations like Planned Parenthood have no fucking legal claim to be able to go lobby and fuck with kids' sterility, dude. For real. And they never fucking should be able to. And the same thing with fucking Bloomberg and other dickheads like that. Moms Be in Action, dude. They should never be allowed to go in there and fucking fuck with your constitutional right to keep and bear arms, dude. They should be told to fuck off out of General Assemblies entirely, dude. Be like, you're not part of this fucking thing. You're not going to be part of this conversation. Go eat a bag of shit-covered dicks, motherfuckers. Seriously. Anyway. Said, in fact, less than 2 weeks ago, Planned Parenthood launched an ad marketing puberty blockers to minors. Oh my god, dude. There are so many things I want to say right now, but I know I don't want to get another Fed knock for them, so I'm not going to say them. Anyway, so what Planned Parenthood and its extremist political partners don't want published, however, is that a yes vote for Prop 3 will not merely make abortion on demand for any reason at any time and without informed or parental consent, the law of the land of Michigan. It will guarantee that children have the unfettered right to transition by obtaining puberty blockers and surgical sterilization. Parents be damned. It's fucked up, man. So with less than a month to go before Michiganders cast their final ballots, little time remains to give proof to the left's lie that Prop 3 is about codifying Roe. It is not. It is about sacrificing kids to the state, both born and unborn. Oh my God, dude. This is why we need to get a Patriot Education Network going in Michigan right now, dude. And get some of our Michigan buddies to start that shit up, dude. Have an M pen up there because, truthfully, like, this shit needs to be talked about. And this is why the Ohio Patriot Education Network is talking about it right now, dude. Because as much as we have a rivalry with the football and stuff between Ohio State and Michigan every year, dude, at the end of the day, I think most of us are not okay with seeing kids be sterilized, dude. At least not the sane people in this country, dude, and in both of these states. So, anyway. Yeah, so fucked up, man. This whole thing is just so fucked. Let's see here now. Trying to see if there's anything else on here that I want to talk about from this particular site right now. There's another story here. It's talking about trans insanity. It says 2 more attorney generals support coalition of 13 telling Biden to stand down from repression of child mutilation critics. Jesus fucking Christ. We all know what that is, by the way. They literally want to mutilate kids' genitals, dude. That's what they're talking about the other day. It's fucking disgusting beyond belief. Anyway, one of the other things I wanted to talk about in today's episode was let me find it here. Was the thing I talked about in the beginning of this episode about that Myra Flores chick that represents a new district there in Texas. This is a Fox News article. Again, this is something I just found in one of the Discords is what it was. So don't blame me. I didn't actually find this. It was basically found for me, and I'm just using it as what it is. So, yeah, it's a Dem candidate in key House race uses doctored photo to make female opponent look aggressive in a campaign ad. Says Vincent Gonzalez campaign ad featured a photo of Myra Flores, which was doctored to make her eyebrows an aggressive look, or give her eyebrows an aggressive look. And as you can see, when they're showing the photos there, yeah, you got the original photo there of her just holding an AR pistol, and then you got this other one where she just looks fucking nuts and has like an even crazier looking smile. It almost looks like a Joker fucking like superimposed fucking what do you call that? Oh God, I'm trying to think what that's called now. Not facial Jesus. Deep fake. That's what it would be. Yeah, she just looks fucking nuts in that photo, man. For real though. Like it's just crazy, crazy shit, man, for real. And that guy looks like a fucking nut anyway, dude. That's the guy that's actually running against her right now. Yeah, it says the student who currently represents the state's 15th congressional district in the House promoted the doctored photo, through campaign's Twitter account, writing, after the tragic events of Uvalde, Myra Flores' first vote in Congress was against a bipartisan school safety bill. Yeah, what fucking dickhead Gonzalez fails to talk about with that quote-unquote school safety bill was it was nothing more than to allow for fucking red flag laws using federal money, and the federal money is nothing more than U.S. tax dollars. So, yeah, fuck you, Vincent, you piece of shit. You fucking scumbag, lion, prick, piece of crap. So, yeah, of course, her first fucking thing was like, no, I'm going to vote against this fucking bullshit that's using a literally preventable tragedy that was Uvalde to push for fucking anti-gunner bullshit, dude. Yeah, fuck you, Vincent. And mind you, I'd like to point something out there. That Vincent guy, dude, has been in Congress longer than Tim Ryan has, if I'm not mistaken, or at least as long anyway. It's at least 20-something years now, dude. And again, this is why we must have term limits going forward, as well as age limits, health limits, and especially automatic disqualifications both from office and from running for office. Because when you're running on platforms that directly infringe upon the constitutional rights of American citizens, whether it be the right to keep and bear arms, whether it be the right to free speech, etc., enough is enough, dude. These people are oath breakers before they oath break is what it is, dude. So, JD will win. He will win as long as there's not any fucking voter fraud going on. And like I said, if you look back at 2018, dude, and this is the problem with Ohio's election cycles, dude, is that they don't audit the fucking elections. If they had audited 2018, they would have proven that Sherrod Brown's judge buddy put like 300,000 dead people and ineligible voters back on our voter rolls the Friday before that next Tuesday's fucking midterm election. And it would have proven right then and there, dude, that Sherrod Brown cheated his way back in the U.S. Senate, and he would be a null and void fucking candidate right now, dude. He'd be in jail right now in Ohio for massive voter fraud is what it would be, which is what he fucking should be right now, honestly. And like I said, I've been calling that shit out since it fucking happened, dude, because I found out about it like a month after that. And yet the fucking people here in my General Assembly don't give a fuck of enough to actually make sure that this cocksucker goes to prison right now. And it's like, dude, you have a dude who literally cheated his way back into office. Like, what the fuck? It's like, do your fucking job, seriously. It's like every cop in the state of Ohio, do your fucking job. Arrest Sherrod Brown's ass for massive voter fraud, man. Put him away in fucking bars where he belongs. Same thing with bitch ass Tim Ryan, who I guaranteed did the same fucking bullshit in 2020 and other places like that, dude. So, yeah. Obviously we got inflation kicking up again. I was noticing the other day when I was at my appointment yesterday for my doctor, dermatologist actually. Gas is now $4 a gallon in the state of Ohio across the board, every place we went. So, not good, man. And plus, groceries have gone up way a bunch of stuff. I didn't even hear about the Cortez thing though, about her having a town hall and it was like nobody attended it. It's not surprising though. Again, Cortez is a great example of what happens when you allow illegal aliens to be able to vote in this country, dude. So, I'm just gonna say it like it is at this point. Because I don't even care anymore, man. But yeah, like I said, it's just fucked up, man, in general. And yeah, to watch that shit about Michigan and stuff like that. We're actually, for a minute here, we're gonna talk about Alex Jones, by the way. For those that haven't heard about that, when you had him in the Sandy Hook lawsuit and everything else like that, dude. To where they're trying to basically make him pay $1 billion fucking dollars for the shit, and it's like, good luck with that, motherfuckers, for many reasons. Number one, he's going to appeal that decision because it was a fucking pre-decision by a bunch of asshole lunatics, is what it was. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing there because, again, well, I'm going to say two things on this one, dude. Ohio Patriot Education Network is led by one man, me, the guy that's talking right now. Number one on that one. Number two on that, you can't bleed a fucking stone, I have no money. Number three, if you tried to sue me, I would simply counter lawsuit your fucking ass and expose everything that's happened in the past 10 years, dude. Number four, going back to the deep fake thing, even if there was a fucking video released nowadays of some dude running into the fucking school there in Sandy Hook and stuff like that, dude, I wouldn't even believe it now because there's been too much time and there's too much deep fakes out there, man. Like, if there actually would have been a video like 10 years ago of some dude, CCTV footage and stuff like that, and they showed like some dude running into a school, okay, I believe the official narrative. Okay, cool. Too much shit has happened since then, dude. Too much shady ass shit's happened since then to where, no, I'm not going to believe anything that'll come out now, man, because technology has advanced too much. They could fucking, put out a whole different thing and do all kinds of other shitty shit then. So, anyway. And then, yeah, but see, like, honestly, like, going back to the Jones thing for a minute there, dude, he was on Steven Crowder. I think it was either yesterday or this morning. At least it was this morning anyway that Steven Crowder put out a video. And he was talking about it on there. And it was basically, Alex had mentioned something about how you had a cap. It was like the money cap or whatever, what you could actually get in like punitive damages and stuff like that from any kind of like defamation suit or whatever it is. And it's like $4 million per plaintiff or something like that. So you're essentially talking about, even with 15 plaintiffs, that's what, like 60 million bucks or something like that, dude. So to sit there and be like, oh no, it's going to be $965 million or $1 billion or the fuck. It's like, you're fucking smoking crack, people. Like, take the fucking crack pipe out of your mouth, seriously. Give it back to Hunter Biden, for God's sakes. You know, seriously, man. But anyway, the entire point is, though, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. And this entire thing, and I've said it from the jump, honestly, is nothing more than an attack on freedom of speech and freedom of the press and the alternate media right now, dude. It's exactly why you have fucking Amy Klobuchar and company there in the U.S. Senate right now, who are trying to pass that JCPA media cartel bill, dude, because they don't want alternate voices being able to have a fucking say in anything, dude. They want the fucking mainstream media narrative to be the only fucking narrative that exists out there. And anybody that questions anything, oh no, you're just some fucking conspiracy nut job, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I'm just a guy who sat back and saw you motherfuckers in the mainstream media in 2012 literally say, oh, there's 3 shooters. Oh no, now there's 2 shooters. Oh, now there's 1 dead and 1 in custody. Oh no, now there's 1 shooter and he's dead. And that was all in like a half-hour time span. I'm just like, what the fuck is the official narrative then, bro? Like, what the fuck's really happening here? Like, that's what got me to question shit to begin with, dude. It's like, had they just gone with, like, lone gunman walks into a fucking school, kills a bunch of fucking kids, okay, yeah, that's fucking believable, honestly, because school security back then sucked ass, is what it was. And that's the entire thing, though, man, is, again, it's a situation of, like, the fact that they decided to go all fucking, like, nutty fucking bing bang is what it was, and then you wonder why people start questioning your fucking bullshit. It's like, because it's fucking bullshit. Like, that's the entire thing, dude. And it's not a conspiracy theory, dude. It's literally, hey, I don't believe the fucking lies coming out of your fucking mouth is what it is, dude. And that's the entire thing. And that's what I'm saying, bro. And truthfully, I believe at this point, and I'll just say it like it is, dude. I think if we did went around this country right now, maybe other countries as well for that matter, depending here and there, but I think mostly it would be in America. You went around to every school in this country and you started doing mouth swabs of every 16, 17-year-old in this country, dude, you come back with 20 positive matches that would match the kids at Sandy Hook. And it's as simple as that. So, yeah, it's just a bunch of crap, dude. And like I said, although I could be wrong, you know, there may be 20 dead kids out there. I don't fucking know, man. Again, like I said, the official narrative to me is just like, there's too much there that did not add up ever. And it's the same thing with Las Vegas, by the way. Same thing with Las Vegas, dude. You have so much fucking, you know, dead air basically there of just like this huge vacuum of nothingness. And you have like this really fucking flimsy ass like official narrative. And there's just so much that contradicts that shit is what it is, dude. So, yeah. It's a lot of weird shit going on there. And like I said, I personally, you know, and the thing is, like, when I went to Maine for my uncle's wedding in 2014, I actually drove past Sandy Hook, dude. Like, we were driving on the highway there, and you saw the sign that said Sandy Hook. It was because it was the actual town. There is what it was. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that town. And then we were talking about it in the car, and I was like, yeah, you know, that's how they, you know, did this thing, and this thing, and they got in the whole argument. My aunt is what it was, dude, about the whole thing, and she's like, no, all stuff like that. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of evidence that that's not the case, actually. So, yeah, she has been one of these people that's been default Democrat voter since JFK. So, and thinks the Democrat Party is still the party of JFK and RFK and fucking MLK and everything else like that, dude. So, you know, even though it's totally not. Well, I don't know. I've heard some weird things about MLK recently about like communism and stuff like that with that dude. But again, I think his was more just like other stuff is what it was, dude. Again, he was, you know, when you look back at history, like that guy was always portrayed to be a civil rights icon. And, you know, I'm running a book about the motherfucker, dude. So what the hell, you know? And, yeah, to me, it's ridiculous. And like I said, I think there's going to be more lawsuits against Jones coming, is what it is. And what's funny to me is, though, you have a lot of, like, really the problem is if the people at Sandy Hook that, you know, supposedly are the parents, is what it is, if they had just let the shit go, man, just let that dude fade off into the ether, done nothing, nobody would really know who Alex Jones is at this point because he's been on person on, all kinds of social media platforms for like a decade now, basically, almost like half decade, whatever it is now. Not quite a decade. It's been about 2018, I think, is when they targeted him, so almost 5 years now. But the thing is, like, because they brought this shit to the mainstream now, dude, all they've done is they have basically allowed for people who were, some kind of fence sitter or whatever the case be, to be like, why are they prejudging this dude? Like, why is there prejudgments going on in these cases when this is supposed to be, hey, this man has his day in court, he's able to say what he needs to say, man. And like I said, I believe the truth is, honestly, it's them trying to set a case precedent. All these Sandy Hook lawyers and stuff like that trying to set a case precedent against Alex Jones so they can then target people like myself. And even Alex admitted that shit on Steven Crowder's thing there. He's like, yeah, they basically said as much. They're trying to come after everybody's what it is, dude. They're trying to silence every fucking conservative voice, every right-wing voice, every person who is right of center or even centrist at this point that don't believe the official leftist bullshit is what it is, dude. They're trying to silence everybody so they can have the fucking official narrative reign is what it is, dude. And like I said, it's exactly what they're trying to do that media cartel bill on people's noses what it is right now, dude. And I'm fucking over it, dude. And that's why, sadly, I believe that we in this country will end up coming to violence very soon in this nation. I don't want it to go to that. Honestly, I really don't. But I think, truthfully, like, we have gone too far down the rabbit hole right now, dude, to where the only way for this country to be saved is some kind of balkanization event, some kind of civil war, some kind of revolution, revolt, whatever it's going to be, dude. And I believe, truthfully, the longer we go where we don't have peaceful divorce and balkanization, the more and more likelihood it's going to be violent fucking conflicts is what it'll be, dude. And we're already starting to see that shit spring up in these major cities, Democrat-run hell pockets in this country, dude, where it's, you got gangs taking over these places, you got fucking 9, 10-year-old kids running around with fucking full auto Glocks and shit like that. Hell, you got fucking 13, 14-year-old 8th graders in fucking Chicago shooting TikTok videos where they're all like, oh, check out these fucking Glocks with the full auto switches on them. Everybody's got one. And this one kid's got 2. And it's like, good fucking God, man. If y'all haven't seen that, man, go check out Honda's stream over the weekend. I believe that's what it was at. No, sorry, 2 weekends ago. So it would be the first week of October, I believe was what it was, that Saturday. There's a video from Chicago in that where, yeah, these kids are all running around with fucking like 33-round mags in their Glocks, and they all have fucking full auto switches on them, dude, even though none of these kids can legally fucking be armed because they're under the age of 21. And it's like, where the hell did they get the Glocks from, dude? Number one. Number two, where the fuck are the parents? Number three, where the fuck are the parents? Number four, who the fuck is selling them these guns? Seriously. Number five, are they just stealing these guns? So anyway. Yeah, it's just fucking insanity, dude. And like I said, then you got people like my current state rep here in Ohio who's like, oh no, these kids when they're 18 are gonna be so bad. It's like, no, dude, you don't even get it, bro. Like, it's way before that now. It's like at least 5, 6, 7 years before that, dude. Like I said, you got fucking, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids fucking robbing people and shit. Pistol whipping fucking people to carjack them and stuff. You got, hell, all this motherfucker has to do here is just turn on DVR the fucking news while he's in the state house for the day, come home, fucking literally flip through it, and any of the fucking local news stations, dude, it's like, oh, these local kids now stealing a bunch of fucking Kias because of TikTok challenges and stuff like that. And it's literally fucking 10 to 14-year-old kids doing most of this shit, dude. And it's like, bro, wake the fuck up. Seriously. Or you're going to get primaried by someone like myself very, very soon in the next couple of years. So, anyway, yeah, it's just like, it's fucking nuts, dude. And I think that's the problem. There's definitely a lack of communication, I think, with, people that are elected into office, and then they don't either have enough time to do stuff or they don't care to actually look into things is what it is. And it's just so insane to me, man. It's just so fucking nuts. And then you have all this other crazy shit going on. And like I said, then you got fucking Jones defamation suit. And yeah, it's just crazy, dude. And then, of course, you got that fucking bill in Michigan there where they're literally trying to fucking, sterilize children. They're trying to sterilize every generation going forward in the state of Michigan, dude. And it's like, at what point do we, the people, just say enough is enough of this shit, man? Seriously. Like, honestly, if you haven't seen it, there's a video that came out in the last few days. It was in the Dearborn, Michigan area. And of all things, it was a bunch of Muslim people, a bunch of Islam followers up there that were, calling out these fucking school boards up there and being like, why are you trying to push this fucking, gay agenda on our kids, basically, is what it is, dude. And they were fucking about to get violent on the people, dude, at the school board meeting and stuff. And honestly, as much as I fucking hate Islam, dude, like, when the enemy of my enemy is now still my enemy, but we are mutually in, kind of like side by side in something where it's like, you hate this thing, I also hate this fucking agenda going on. Like, maybe we can work together somehow here, kind of thing. That's very telling, man. And like I said, I think we would have different tactics at how we go about things, is what it is, though, man. Like I said, I would rather, be the guy that's like, no, we sue these fucking school systems and take them over, kind of thing, is what it is, dude. Do what needs to be done there. And I'm sure you'd have these people that would just be like, no, fuck that, it's time for violence, kind of thing. And it's like, no, bro. There is a better option out there that doesn't require you literally beating the fuck out of some dude in a parking lot, kind of thing. So, like, I'm not saying that option isn't on the table at some point, but that should always be like a last resort every single time, my friends. There's always better options, man. Always better options before that one. And unfortunately, there are far too many people in this country that they'd rather resort to violence as a first and only option. And it's a sad situation that we live in this country, dude. When you have these people that don't want to actually, look back and stand back and be like, no, there is another different option that could be done here, man. Like, you don't have to go down this route, is what it is. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, some people choose violence. It's like that old one Game of Thrones episode where it's it's Cersei and the mountain, and it's all I forget what those dudes were called. It was like those priesthood guys or whatever with the weird fucking like things that were like basically tattooed into their heads, or like, I forget what it was now, like branded into their foreheads or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. It was some kind of symbolization or something like that was like done that way. And yeah, the guy's like, step aside or there will be violence. And she's like, I choose violence. And it's like, I feel like that's the problem with too many people in our country right now, dude. And again, it's what's led to this shit is, decade after decade of basically do nothing ineffectual bullshit is what it is, dude. And, so-called compromises that aren't compromises at all. It's just us being fucked in the ass again and again and again over and over again, And it's a bunch of ineffective fucking people that call themselves lawmakers that don't actually want to do their fucking jobs and would rather just sit there and fuck you over and fuck over your interests as a, citizen and voter in this country, and actually technically their boss is what it is. And unfortunately, when you have that kind of shit going down, then you wonder like why we are in such a fucking mess as a country right now, dude. And again, it happens to be the fact when you have people in there for, 20, 30, 40 years in a lot of cases that keep flip-flopping General Assemblies or will fuck around and be doing all kinds of shady fucking shit or whatever it is, dude. Like, it doesn't matter. The entire point is when you allow for fucking, lions to go back to sleep and you have fucking foxes taking over the hen house, your chickens ain't going to be around too much longer is what it is, man. Seriously. Now I kind of want some chicken. So, but not seriously though. I actually did get some chicken the other day. It was pretty good. It was from the local place. Good stuff, man. Actually, it's we do things here in these small towns called JoJo's. Some people might call them potato wedges where they're from, but we call them JoJo's around here, and they are very, very tasty. And yeah, we got some chicken and JoJo's the other day. Roasted chicken is the best chicken, by the way. I'd like to point that one out. Some people might say fried chicken. Nah, it's roasted, bro. Roasted is the best because it's like pressure cookered, but it's not like full on pressure cookered, basically. So yeah, it's super fucking good though. Super, super juicy. And the only issue is obviously reheating and stuff like that. So if you don't, you know, eat it all the first day, it becomes a thing where it's like it's cold, better eaten cold because it maintains consistency than if it's eaten heated up and warmed and stuff like that. So anyway, but yeah, needless to say, I know what I'm gonna be eating later. So, uh, but not seriously though. Going back to what we're talking about though here in a minute is when you have things going on and people not actually wanting to, you know, do what they need to do here, is all you're doing is leaving open a possibility for a bunch of nuts to get into office. And when you have a bunch of nuts in office, or you have a bunch of nuts in a lobbying campaign, like with Planned Parenthood there in Michigan, then you have stuff like that Prop 3 thing is what it is. And that's the problem right now, is you have these people who are deceptive as fuck, who should have no legal right or claim to do anything in your fucking state, because they are a bunch of Satanists, because they are a bunch of fucking mass murdering pieces of shit. And instead, you're basically letting them have the fucking keys to the castle, man. And it's like, why? Why are you allowing this to happen, man? It's fucking insanity. It really is, honestly, dude. And unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with just laziness of people, dude. And I'll say it like it is, dude. There's a lot of voters in our voter base right now in this country that are just a bunch of lazy motherfuckers, dude. They will do the littlest research possible into any candidate at any given time for any race. And they will sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to listen to the attack ads that have been going on for the past like 4 months, basically. Oh, they say this person's a piece of shit, so I'm going to go ahead and vote for the other guy. Even though most of the times, the other guy is the actual piece of shit in that case. You know? It's like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Tim Ryan is a bad man, that Nan Whaley is a bad woman. You know, these people potentially made demon deals for real with Crossroads demons, supernatural style. I don't know if that's the case or not, but you know, I'm gonna keep sticking to that moniker, dude, because honestly, that's what it feels like right now. It feels like the only way these people are able to get into office right now is through that kind of shit, dude. And it's like it makes a logical sense when you start thinking about it. And you know, when you realize like your ultimate fucking plan is to just grab power, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out, man. Like you're gonna do whatever you have to first of all grab power, and second of all maintain power. And yeah, it's just a bad situation, man. And it becomes a real shit show real fucking quick, dude. And it's just like how people used to talk about, you know, the slippery slope fallacy and stuff like that of like, oh, you know, gay marriage is going to lead to X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, you're just some bigoted motherfucker or whatever. That was their talking point was, oh, you're some bigoted piece of shit, fucking extremist, you know, anti-gay guy, fucking homophobe, whatever the case be. And it's like, first of all, I'd like to point something out, dude. I don't give a fuck either way. Like, if you want to marry a dude, if you want to marry a chick, if you want to marry whatever the fuck the case is, and you're the same gender or you're the opposite gender of that person, I really do not care. My thing is, personally, I don't give a fuck who you're sleeping with, dude. What my issue becomes is when you have people who, you know, 5, 10, 15 years later actually begin to push these agendas, and you're going to sit there and be like, oh, no, that's not happening. There's no fucking, there's nothing happening here. You're just fucking, you don't see what you're seeing, dude. You're imagining things because we're just gaslighting the fuck out of you is what it is, dude. And that's the entire point. And I believe, truthfully, you know, going back to the Sandy Hook thing for a minute, dude, I think people have been gaslighted for a decade with that shit, honestly, dude. You know, when you look at every single thing that's happened here in the last couple of years when it comes to, you know, different massacres and stuff like that, dude, like, there's a lot of fucking evidence of how many of them were fucking staged shit, dude. And, you know, when you got, you know, even going back to Sandy Hook there for a minute, dude, everything I've looked into for that thing, when you had billions of dollars being funneled into that town over the time span of like a year or so, like that's a fucking some shady shit, dude. Where'd all that money go, you know? You know, who's being bought and paid for there is what it is, man. Seriously. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like that's why even if people wanted to tell the truth at this point a decade later, like they wouldn't tell the truth because they'd already been bribed into submission is what it is, man. Or they've been threatened for real is what it is then. So I don't know. It's just a sad situation all the way around. Actually, going back to what we were talking about a minute ago with the roasted chicken and stuff like that. So there was a place, there's a Walmart it's by me. It's what we call the ghetto Walmart actually, because it literally where it. So there used to be a place back in the day called Hills, and I think there was I want to say it was a nationwide chain, but it might have been just an Ohio-based chain. I'm not sure. I can't remember offhand. So we had two things back in the day. We had Hills and we had Kmart, and it was Hills went out of business before Kmart did, and then Kmart eventually went out of business as well because again, they were trying to do a model and they just couldn't compete is what it was, dude. And unfortunately, they kind of got swallowed up by all the Walmarts and Targets of the modern society is what it is then. And so, yeah, you had this Hills place that had, and it was an interesting place actually. You walked into the store. I remember walking into this place as a kid. They had a little food court on the corner there, like almost right after you walked in, just so people could like basically leave their kids sit there and eat something or whatever while they were going shopping and shit for like an hour or two is what it was. And so, there was times that we did that and stuff because they would always give free popcorn to kids and shit. And we would just sit there and like munch on a bag of popcorn for a little bit, and mom was off doing her stuff and getting what she needed to get for the day or whatever it was. And it was basically like a smaller version of Walmart because it was like a grocery. It was like a semi grocery store, and then it was mostly like just a goods place and stuff like that is what it was. But anyway, so that went out of business, and now the current Walmart that's there took over that spot. And then Kmart was across the street, and that's now gone out of business entirely, and it's now just an empty parking lot, basically. I really hope they would do something with that at some point in the future, like a Myers, or maybe bring because technically I know that for Ohio and like other states, Rural King is technically supposed to be in rural areas. And the thing is, where that sits at, it is rural enough because it's like a highway, like thoroughfare area and stuff to where they potentially could put one there. And I would love to see a Rural King go in there, but I don't think it's ever going to happen until, a huge investment would happen there. And again, if I had hit the lottery earlier this year, I would have totally done that already because I would have been like, I'm buying a fucking franchise at this point and just making one happen there, motherfuckers. So I was just having a little gun shop. Then it would be that's closer to me than the other places are. But anyway, so yeah, basically the where the Walmart sits, it's about maybe I don't know 20 yards up the road, give or take. And there is several places there. One of them is a little drive-through place that obviously it's one of those little car drive-throughs where they do like pops and other drinks and stuff. You can get like bags of chips there and stuff if you need to get bags of chips or lottery tickets or smokes or I know some of them will do like, well, at least they used to back in the day was like random like porn mags and stuff like that you could buy from there and shit. Again, the shadier ones did a lot of stuff like that as what it was, dude. Actually, I know one of those around here does that still, I think is what it is today, but that's, yeah, there was some weird shit going on at those places, man. But, and of course, some of those were actually used as fronts for people dealing drugs too, as well. So the thing was, though, is that next to that place, there was another building that is now, I believe, some kind of a Mexican restaurant or something. They haven't been there yet. But before it was a Mexican place, it used to be it was like it was a like chicken and waffles kind of place. And then I think they also did some other dishes too as well. And that was actually going good for like a while. And from my understanding, this was probably like maybe I don't know 4 or 5 months into their business being open and stuff like that. And this was right before this is right when we were about to go try it for the first time because we'd heard good things about it. And yeah, it got busted because the fucking cook guy was using it as a front to go deal fucking drugs out of the back, is what it was, dude. And it's like, you motherfucker. And unfortunately, I guess like at least one of the owners that was involved there also knew, like he wasn't like directly involved in it, but he knew what the fuck was going on and just sort of looked the other way, is what it was. And yeah, they both apparently got busted for various charges and stuff like that. And of course, it went out of business because of that then. So yeah, it's unfortunate that people have to ruin things like that by just doing stupid shit is what it is, dude. And again, it wouldn't be an issue, a lot of cases if the state of Ohio would just legalize weed because I think they were just mostly dealing weed out of that place, dude, is what it was. It wasn't like, heroin or ecstasy or fucking fentanyl or meth or anything like that, dude. It was just like, yeah, here's a fucking baggie of weed with your fucking chicken and waffles kind of thing is what it is, dude. That'll be 25.55 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous in general. But unfortunately, again, that goes back to sort of government tyranny in a lot of cases, dude, because truthfully, it is governments not wanting people to be free. It's they want to basically, have people knuckle under their fucking tyrannical bullshit because in a free nation, you wouldn't have to ask government permission to do stuff, dude. You could just do stuff, whether it be, fishing or whether it be hunting or whatever the case be, or even in that case, whether it be, you want to open a place that would be half a fucking pot shop and the other half is a fucking restaurant, It's like, hey, who wants to get high and have some chicken? Seriously. But, the whole thing is, man, it's like, unfortunately, shitty things are shitty is what it is, dude. And government is shitty is what it is, dude. And then the worst thing is when you have people who actually, again, going back to the government tyranny side of things, when you have these states that actually do legalize weed and stuff like that, whether it be Washington State or Colorado, whatever the case be, then they basically will put bullshit fucking amendments into the legislation to where the people that are working these weed shops or whatever it is can't even be legally armed in them, or they're going to catch charges and shit, dude. Because again, weed not being legalized federally and being quote unquote a fucking Schedule 1 substance and stuff like that, which is absolute fucking garbage, by the way. It's just like the same thing with the 4473s and it being on 4473s. And actually, the 4473 itself is fucking unconstitutional, by the way, and has been for, its entire existence the last, 25, 26 years now since it first became a thing in the 90s. So, anyway, and by the way, I can tell you firsthand, is a de facto gun registry because I know that for a fact, because when I was federally swatted in 2019, the first thing that the fucking Fed boy Timmy pulled out was a list of the guns that I had bought through 4473s that they all knew what the fuck they were. And as soon as I started naming calibers, he started clicking his fucking pen. So, anyway. Yeah, it's a bunch of crap, dude. But, to me, again, going back to that whole thing, dude, it's ridiculous stuff to justify you wanting to be armed to the fucking government fuckboys is what it is, dude. And it's like, yeah, I want to be armed because I don't want you coming here and blowing my fucking brains out, bro. How about that, Like, how about that, dude? How about if I don't like Big Daddy government? How about that? How about that's a fucking reason to be armed, dude? Seriously. Now, granted, most of the firearms I own to this day actually usually were for doing, hunting and stuff like that because we do have game on our property and stuff like that. We can legally hunt here is what it is without permits and shit, which is nice because we're the owners is what it is, and we just have to do like deer tags like that is what it would be then is like owner property thing and shit. So yeah, it's the whole thing. But anyway, the entire problem is though, again, you shouldn't have to ask permission from the fucking government for something you want to do is what it is, man. And it's just like having permitting to fucking be like, oh yeah, I'm going to build a pond in my fucking yard or whatever the case be. And it's like, well, now you got to get this permit and that permit and pay this kind of money and get fucking other shit to come out there and make sure that your ground is sanctioned to be able to make a fucking pond in it or whatever. It's like, fuck off, dude. Seriously. It's like, no, I'm going to go rent a fucking backhoe and dig a big fucking hole, put some fucking water in it and throw some fish into it, motherfucker. Go eat a dick. Seriously. Like, it's not that hard to figure out, man. But yeah, it's just a bunch of crap entirely, dude. Like, and again, it's nothing, a lot of that shit is nothing more than the government just trying to stick their dick up your ass and basically prove that they're just a bunch of assholes is what it is, dude. And be like, oh no, but you have to pay your penance to the state, slave. Because that's the truth at the end of the day, dude. We are living in modern day times of fucking debt slavery is what it is, man. Whether it be college loan debt or whether it be anything else for that matter. And then you got fucking assholes being like, well, we're going to cancel this college loan debt. Just vote for us. Oh, by the way, no, we're going to have to rescind that now. It's only X number of people that can actually qualify for that stuff. So fuck you. So actually, here's a good one. Seriously, actually, you know what? If government want to do something right now, deal with the fucking scammers, dude, in this country. Seriously. I had a fucking guy call me up this morning. He was like, oh, is this dude here? And my mom's like, no. He's like, oh, did he ever serve at Camp Lejeune? And I'm like, dude, I was never in the fucking military. Like, how old do you think I am, motherfucker? And of course, he was like some Indian foreign national guy that was definitely trying to scam us, is what it was. And it's like, well, first of all, we're not going to tell you a fucking thing, dickhead, because you don't need to fucking know if I'm a U.S. military vet or not, number one. Number two, even if I was, and even if I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, I'm sure as shit not going to have some fucking shady ass 2-bit fucking lawyer, potential scam motherfucker, that I'm going to talk to about it, dude. Number three, I'm already going to have a lawyer that I'm already in contact with to sue this shit out of the fucking government and stuff like that. Get my damn money, dude, for being all cancer positive and stuff. And this is the big thing about going back to government and stuff, dude, actually, for that one. You can't sit here and honestly tell me that when you had that whole thing now come out with the whole Camp Lejeune thing, dude, where they have the time period of like 1953 to like the mid-80s or even early 90s or something like that, dude, where it's like a 40-year time span, they knew damn well back in like the fucking 70s there was some shit going on there, dude, and they didn't do a fucking thing to just close that fucking base down, man. And it's like, yeah, you can't sit here and tell me that there wasn't like fucking testing going on there and they're just like, oh shit, yeah, we got to cover this motherfucker up. And then, yeah, now it's coming out, several decades later is what it is now. And I believe it's the same thing across the board, dude, with a lot of that shit, where it's all shadow operations and stuff like that, whether it be MK Ultra or anything else like that, dude. And even people that were, supposedly part of MK Ultra back in the day in the 80s and shit like that, dude, they even admitted back then, they're like, yeah, it never ended, it just went deeper underground, dude. Like, they came out and admitted, like, oh yeah, there's a thing called MK Ultra mind control and shit like that. Oh, by the way, we don't exist anymore. Ha 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 ha. Because they're all going deeper underground, 2-3 more levels down or whatever it is now. And when you look at a lot of these mass shooters nowadays, this is what we're experiencing, dude. We're experiencing the modern day triggered agents of these motherfuckers. Whether it be through, first person shooting, gaming, and stuff like that, where they're able to indoctrinate these kids that way, or whether it be something else for that matter, man. Different TV shows and shit like that, and trigger them like that, dude, with fucking subliminal messaging, whatever it is, dude. It doesn't really matter, honestly. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that going on right now. And it's like, okay, it's go time. And it's like, let's go, Brandon. Click, trigger somebody kind of thing. But anyway. I can't believe that was only a year ago, by the way. That the Let's Go Brandon thing. That was just a year ago the other day, actually. For the anniversary of that thing, dude. With that NASCAR dude. Like, I can't believe that shit, dude. Like, that, like, I don't know what's going on anymore with, like, time. It seems like time's either slowing down or, like, it's almost like it's infinitely expanding, basically, because it's, like, especially after 2020 now, like, I don't know if somebody did something, like, some kind of, like, crazy time travel thing or whatever it was, dude, or some shit like that, whatever it would be then. It's almost like time just seems to be, like, you think, like, a day is, like, 10 days now or something like that, dude. Because I've experienced stuff like that where I'll just sit there on like any given day and I'm just like, wait a minute, it's already like, Friday, Saturday or something like that. And it's like Tuesday. And yeah, it's just craziness though. And then, like I said, you got shit going on where it's like, it might be like a week or two later or something like that. And you think it's like 6 months later or something. So I don't know, man. There's definitely a lot of weird shit going on right now that I think is being unexplained. And I'd kind of like to know some explanations about it, honestly, to be honest with you right now. Hell, it could be aliens for all the fuck we know. Could be some UFOs and stuff, dude. I know I've personally experienced missing time with that kind of stuff before when my brother and I was outside of our house one time back in probably like 2005 or 6, somewhere in there. Maybe 7, actually. I want to say it was right before Obama's administration. Maybe it was actually right in about, I'm trying to think now. It might have been more like 2009 or so, 10, maybe, right before I moved to Columbus. It was somewhere in there, somewhere in that like 5-year time span, give or take. But yeah, we were outside. He was outside doing some stuff one day, and it was he had gone to check out stars and stuff like that because he always like look at the stars and stuff around this area because where you live out in major cities because of the ambient light and stuff like that, you can't see stars is what it is. So he would always go out for like an hour or two and just check out and like look at the stars and watch the sky and stuff like that and see anything going on in the skies. And he came to me one night and he was like, "Hey, come out here for a minute." And then we were actually no, he didn't come inside. He was outside long enough to where I was like, "Did he leave or something? Like, what the fuck's going on?" So I went to go look for him, and then I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I just saw him like looking up, and I just look up, and there's like clearly what looks like a UFO craft there, dude, just like fucking spinning around and shit like that. And we're just like staring at. I'm like, I'm gonna go back inside and grab a flashlight. He's like, what are you gonna do with that? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, kind of like SOS it and stuff like that. He's like, don't be fucking doing that shit. And I like did it anyway, whatever the case be. And it's like right after that, I swear to God, like it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And then as soon as like after I said that or whatever the case be, we went back inside and it was like 2:33 a.m. somewhere in there. So I don't know if I was abducted. I don't know what the fuck happened. I just know there's like several hours of time back then to where it was legit. Like it should have been like 5-10 minutes later that we walked inside, and it was like 3 hours with no fucking evidence, anything, that we were there that long. So yeah, it's just really shady shit, man. And like I said, like honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at this point if I was fucking abducted at some point in my life, dude. Because again, when you look at Ohio as like a hub for alien activity and stuff like that, dude, or even like experimental craft and shit like that, which that could have been what we saw actually, and it could have just been them, fucking men in black neuralizing our asses or something like that for all the fuck we know. Because we saw too much or whatever it was. Yeah. It's just some crazy shit, man. Just to be clear, I'm going to address this. I have never and will never smoke methamphetamines. I have never or will never smoke crack cocaine. I have never and will never do heroin or ecstasy or Oxycontin or anything else for that matter. And there's only a couple of times in way back history, and by way back history, I mean after all this shit, this was not talking about colon cancer surgery like 6-7 years ago, that I specifically told the doctors, I was like, hey, I'm not going to get opioid addicted here. So if you're giving me a bunch of opioids and shit like that, dude, I'm not going to take them. And I'm going to go home and smoke some bowls for my fucking pain. And that was what I did during my time of my colon cancer surgery. And that was the only time I ever smoked weed in my life. Was during that couple of weeks healing time span. And it was only to do pain management and stuff like that. Because I wasn't going to become an opioid addict is what it was. And I'm glad I did that, honestly, because again, I was never addicted to pain pills then. And that's the thing with those pain pills, dude. Those only mask the pain, whereas weed itself, very much is God's medicine. It actually takes care of shit and heals stuff correctly is what it is, dude. And gives you actual relief. But, yeah, anyway. That being said, like I said, there was definitely some crazy shit going on that night then outside. And there's been other times, like even in the daytime, where I've seen like alien crafts and stuff around here. And that being said, though, there was a base, military base, not too far from me that was reopened under Trump's administration, where they actually do some weird experimentation stuff there. So it could have been their craft for all the fuck I know that we saw back then, because that was actually operating back then. And then it got closed down, I think, right around the beginning of Obama's administration is what it was, which was not long after we saw that shit. And then it was, yeah, then Trump reopened the place is what it was then. So yeah, needless to say, it could have easily been something like that, dude, where they were just doing like experimental craft and stuff like that around the state then. Just to see if people would actually, call up and be like, hey, I saw some stuff, like, who should I report this thing to, or whatever the case be. Which, by the way, if y'all don't know that, there actually is a number you can call to report UFO activity in this country, and it'll send you to a dude named Robert Bigelow, who is the only man, he's also the guy that owns Skinwalker Ranch, or at least did at one point in history. He is the only man that could take weapons into outer space, even though there is a literal treaty across the fucking world where nobody can take weapons into space is what it is, man. But yet this Robert Bigelow guy can. So, yeah, definitely some weird shit there, man. But, yeah, I've always been a fan of extraterrestrial stuff and other stuff like that since I was a kid. Mostly because of the fact that it's, there's definitely more than just us out there, man. I think there's definitely more than just humanity out there is what it is, we as human beings have some capacity of things, but not a whole ton. And I believe there's definitely more advanced alien species out there. And honestly, no joke, man. If something ever happened like that show Defiance, the Sci-Fi Channel series, where it was like, some other alien races coming down to Earth to like terraform it and shit, dude, I'd probably have some chick as a baby mama who is another race of alien is what it would be then, because it would just be interesting. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think there's a lot of people out there that if they had the chance, they would definitely hook up with other species across the universe, dude. Now, granted, should we be doing such things? Maybe, maybe not. But again, only time will tell, man. And that being said, when you're looking at like planes of existence and stuff like that, and like the ability of like, higher life forms and things like that, to us as humans, we're probably just their playthings. It's probably just like the end of Men in Black, where it's like we're just, our entire galaxy is a fucking marble in some kid's marble bag kind of thing or something like that, dude. And if nothing else, it could be something like the South Park episode where it's, Earth is just fucking some aliens TV reality show and stuff like that, dude. So who the hell knows, man? But yeah, like I said, though, it'd be interesting, to see different things like that, and really to see if that's even possible to have like relationships between like human beings and some kind of like an alien race or whatever the case be, because again, it would be a situation there where you'd have to have actual ability to procreate, number one, where shit actually lines up, and then number two, for like some kind of crossbreed um halfling, I guess is what you would call it best there. So yeah, I don't know. But for those interested, all this stuff is discussed in one of the books I'm writing, actually, because the book I've been talking about for a while now, there is time travel, there is extraterrestrials, etc. in it, dude. And it all starts to make sense when you look at certain things and certain aspects, because it all kind of, bookends back to itself is what it is then. So, but yeah, alternate history is fun. It's interesting to see what could be done and, how different things could be accomplished. I'd also like to point something out, and this is something nobody ever brings up when it comes to the Back to the Future series: abortion. I was rewatching Back to the Future Part 2 recently, and obviously it's now a past movie because it was like alternate 2011 or something like that, I think is what it was set in. Or no, 2015, that's what it was. So yeah, it's like 7 years in the past now, almost 8 years in the past. But you think about it, logistically speaking, and they never bring up abortion in that movie series once. Is that how they actually got hoverboard technology? Is because the people that would have been aborted in our current universe, in that universe, lived and were able to create the hoverboards and stuff like that, or the same things for that matter, like the, like a Doc Brown kind of type, where it's like the flux capacitor stuff and stuff like that kind of deal, of like time travel and shit. I think so, honestly, dude, because I believe truthfully, like I think there's a lot of good people that, unfortunately, because of Roe versus Wade and stuff like that, were snuffed out in the womb, and they could have easily been the people that, went on to create technology that would be, time travel tech, or, some kind of like crazy hover technology tech, whether it be for, skateboards that would become hoverboards, or whether it be for car conversions and stuff like that to where they hovered. And yeah, it'd be very, very interesting, dude. And I think, unfortunately, when you've allowed for that shit to go on for 50 fucking years, and now you have states like Michigan trying to do the same thing again now with this bullshit Proposition 3, and they have adding in like gender crap to the fucking amendments and stuff like that because of Planned Parenthood. Because of course, Planned Parenthood, all they're about is fucking money, dude. They're all a bunch of greedy fucking demons, dude. They are a bunch of sick fucking demons who are all about greed, dude. They don't care about human life. They don't care about anything. They don't care about fucking kids having any kind of sterility or anything else like that, dude. They just want to have that fucking greed. They just want to have that profit. They just want to have that fucking bank money coming in there, dude. Because all they care about is the almighty fucking dollar, dude. Because unfortunately, far too many of these people are full-blown cultists at this point. And actually, Tim Pool put out a video this afternoon that was talking about just that. I forget what state it was in, but there was a video of a bunch of medical students basically pledging allegiance to some kind of a fucking cult is what it was. So yeah, just crazy shit, man, entirely. And like I said, it's just a bunch of lunacy is what it is, man. But anyway, that's really the problem with our society right now, dude, is again, I think it goes back to the whole, mentality of people haven't been punched in the face enough in their lives, If these people had gotten their asses beat like, 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe this wouldn't be a problem now kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? And, maybe that's what we need to have at this point, like unarmed public duels or something like that, where it's just people having to legally fist fight mutual combat style and stuff like that, dude. Or even like trial by combat kind of stuff. Where it's like, yeah, if I can prove that you're an oath breaking piece of shit who's committed either one felony or like 2 or 3 misdemeanors, I can legally fight you for your position of power, is what it is. That would actually be an interesting thing, dude. I think that would lead to a lot of stuff, dude, and a lot more constitutionalism in this country, where people were willing to throw down then and willing to do the investigative journalism to expose the corruption of different candidates and stuff like that and different people in positions of power, just to be able to legally, fight them and stuff like that, and then just take their fucking job as what it would be then. Although, to be fair, that whole thing could also lead to a bunch of insanity at the end of the day, so who the fuck knows? But anyway, I don't know. Like I said, though, I don't know if it's going to be a balkanization event that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be civil war, revolts, revolutions, or it'll just be a bunch of people continuing to bend over and take it in the ass, dude. So, anyway, honestly, at this point, I'm shocked that somebody hasn't made that a fucking campaign slogan. Just be like, I'm such and such running for whatever. Just bend over and take it, baby. Because we're the government, is what it would be. But anyway, I don't know, man. Fucking craziness, though. But, anywho, that's pretty much where we're at for the time being, though. This wasn't supposed to go an hour and a half. It was supposed to be like 20-minute video, give or take. But yeah, we just talked about a bunch of other stuff then. Like I said, though, hopefully we'll see some shakeups here in the midterms in a few weeks. See Cortez's dumbass hopefully finally tossed out of office. I doubt it though, but hopefully we'll see a lot of seats flip red and nothing else flip independent as well on that one, in state legislators and stuff like that, where you start having people wake up to the fact that it's like, yeah, it's time to stop voting retarded Democrat and liberal fucking states and stuff like that and start voting anything else is what it is, dude. Whether that be independent, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever. Vote for literally anyone else that's not these motherfuckers that have been destroying your states for decades with their fucking nonsensical bullshit and anti-gun laws and anti-life laws and everything else like that, dude. Because unfortunately, until you do that stuff, you're going to keep having psychotic fucking lunatics doing crazy shit. And actually going back to that Michigan article, though, for a minute, when they were talking about Florida on that, dude, I can't fucking believe that shit, where you had that crap pass in Florida and now it's been considered to be parents, like, I guess, probably suing over that and trying to put it to the court system. They're like, no, it's unconstitutional for you to take this to the courts and stuff like that. It's like, bullshit it is, dude. You're literally trying to sterilize my fucking child. Fuck you. And yeah, I'll tell you what, dude, I believe truthfully we are definitely on the precipice of human history, especially after lockdowns and everything else like that, of a future where you see a rise of Mexican jokers everywhere, because you always got to be aware of the Mexican Joker. Another South Park reference, by the way, for those that have ever seen the Mexican Joker episode of South Park. It's basically you have a bunch of kids in detainment camps, and it's just these guys like fear mongering the shit out of these kids, and they're talking about Mexican Joker, and it's them literally creating somebody in the future that would be Mexican Joker, is what it is. But yeah, needless to say, it's a situation there where, you know, when you're creating something because you're putting people into a situation of, you know, mental health issues or creating them to have mental health issues and stuff like that. And then you wonder why the spring up of the Mexican Joker happens. And, you know, people just start going nuts and committing atrocities and anything else like that, dude. It's like, it's not that hard to figure out, bro. It's government caused this. And then they want to come in and act like they're going to be the ones to fix it when they're not. They're just going to keep exacerbating the situation to create more Mexican Jokers, is what it's going to be. And then eventually you have a bunch of sombrero wearing fucking Joker motherfuckers walking around everywhere doing all kinds of crazy shit, man. So, anyway. Actually, interestingly, I'm gonna take off the Mexican Joker thing for a minute because I do want to talk about a story from yesterday. When I went to my doctor's appointment yesterday, there was a actually we'll use this one for the time being because I am the post-row generation, baby. But anyway, so yeah, we were at going towards the doctor's office there, and in the town that this place is in, you had there was actually a couple of Tim Ryan signs. There was one. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can find that shit on the map now that I can look it up and stuff. Because there's a place by that had some kind of haunted castle tour or something like that is what it was, or like haunted. It wasn't a castle. It was like a old like mini mansion kind of place or whatever the case be. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I'm trying to find the actual street this is on right now, so I can do a street view of this if we can find it. But yeah, there was a store that I don't know if it was the Honduran flag that they were had in the window there or what it was, but it was very interesting because it looked like it was like a little what they called bodegas and stuff like that. I almost went into it actually when we were finished that day, but then we had to do other stuff and we unfortunately didn't go back the same way we came then. So I'm trying to see if this is the actual place here, because then we'll just go out to the actual area here then. Okay. Trying to figure out how to do street view here on this. No, that's not what I want. Okay. So sorry, I'm trying to figure this out right now. I think this is the place I'm looking for right here. Trying to find the fucking map thing for this. Because there's a house I want to show you guys that's around there, is what it was. So yeah, never mind. It's not going to work. But yeah, there was a place though, and it was multiple people that they were basically. You had two different houses very close to each other. There was one that was like decent looking, and there was one that was like a damn mini mansion that had a fucking gate all around it. Both of them had Tim Ryan signs, and both of them had fucking dumbass Nan Whaley signs. And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, you people are retarded. And then you wonder why your taxes go up like 10 fucking times, dude, when you're voting for these retards into office. But yeah. Don't tread on me, man. It's a baby in the womb. For those interested. That's how the post-row generation needs to be at this point, dude. We need to stop being this bullshit ever with the California politics infesting other states. Because fuck Gavin Newsom and fuck his dumbass retarded policies of killing kids in the womb everywhere, dude. Infesting other states now because, you have the one bad apple, or pear, I think is in this case, that has gone super rotten and is rotting the other ones, is what it is, man. So, anyway, that's also the same thing with berries, too, by the way. If you ever had like a berry bush and stuff like that, where it's like black raspberries or blackberries or whatever, dude, if like one or two of them goes like bad or gross or whatever, it usually messes up the rest of the ones on the vine then. So yeah, it's the same kind of deal there, man. You got to pluck that crap out and get it back to square one, man. But anyway, at the end of the day, what the real problem is a lot of this is just engineered chaos, and that's the real issue right now. And unfortunately, when you have engineered chaos everywhere, you look into situations and you realize that people are fucking nuts, dude, is what it is. And then, but you have voting rights in this country, and unfortunately, when, we're not actually doing things to stop insanity from coming into our nations from places like California, infesting other states with their locust mentality, all you're going to end up with is a bunch of Mexican jokers at the end of the day. And it's really as simple as that, man. And honestly, like, we have gotten to a precipice in human history right now, dude, where enough is enough, and it's time to just stop fucking traveling in this country, I think, dude, or mass fucking exodus from like one shithole state, and they just bring their fucking leftism bullshit to other states, is what it is, without having people be able to be like, no, we're putting a fucking constitutional amendment in our constitution where if you want to come in here, guess what? You don't have voting rights for the next decade, kind of thing is what it would be then. Now, granted, would that be challenged in courts? Probably. Would it actually be overturned in courts as unconstitutional? Maybe. Should it still be done? Yes. And that's the entire thing, dude. Because again, there's a reason why when you get into a sinking ship, or I should say a life raft from a sinking ship, you put on your own life vest first before someone else's. Or the same thing when you're going in a plane going down, dude. There's a reason you put on your oxygen mask before you help other people put on theirs, is what it is, dude. Because that way you're able to be safe yourself and be able to then help them get safe. And unfortunately, when you have people literally ripping your fucking oxygen mask off, and you have people ripping off your fucking, your life jacket and trying to destroy your fucking way of life and stuff like that, it's like, this is why you will have fights, is what it is. This is why you will have, infighting and things like that. It's why you will have fucking civil wars again. It's why you've had civil wars through all of human history, dude, because eventually you're going to have enough people on both sides of the fucking aisle, and maybe there's going to be a third or a fourth, thing in a different row and stuff like that come over to the, come behind the first row of people or whatever it is, dude. And it's going to be multiple groups of people fighting then, might not be just left versus right. It might be left versus right versus center. It might be fucking, left versus right, and then third party people, or just, fuck both of y'all is what it is, dude. So anyway, I don't know. I just look for there to be something happening in this country in the next, I would say, probably less than 6 months, maybe the next couple of weeks even, depending on how midterms go here. But yeah, I think right now we're seeing anything on the table for the Democrat Party trying to maintain power, as well as the Rhino establishment in either major party, doing what they need to do to basically get back into office, or doing what they need to do to basically maintain the status quo. And in reality, it's just one giant uni party trying to fuck us all, is what it is, dude. For those that haven't seen, by the way, Tulsi Gabbard this week, in the last couple of days, left the Democrat Party finally, citing anti-white racism. It took you long enough, Tulsi, and it took you long enough to expose the anti-white racism that this channel, and a bunch of other people have been talking about for several years now, dude. I make no qualms about that shit, dude. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of, as a white man in this nation, being shit upon for being a white guy. I fucking had it, dude. And I've had it with people shitting on my fucking family, my niece, my nephew, because they're fucking white kids, dude. It's disgusting. You know, I'm gonna tell a quick story actually right now, dude. My fucking nephew, he lives down in Columbus area. He almost got jumped by a pack of black kids 2 years ago over BLM fucking rhetoric, dude. They were literally talking about beating white kids to death on the school bus, dude. And he almost became a target because of being a white child. That is not acceptable, dude. Not acceptable at all. And the fact that this shitty fucking school system did nothing to fucking suspend or expel these kids is even more bullshit entirely, dude. And it's really as simple as that, man. And I will give his mom one thing. My sister-in-law, she raised fucking hell with that school, dude. And she wanted those kids expelled for that, and as they should have been. And it's a bunch of crap they weren't. But like I said, it really is a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. And like I said, I'm sick and fucking tired of all of it, dude. I'm sick and tired of the fucking liberal left motherfuckers coming out of the woodwork and being all like, oh, you're just fucking low-key white hate and stupid bullshit like that. It's like, no, dude, you're just an anti-white racist and a fucking white guy. You're one of the worst motherfuckers out there is what it is, dude. And I'm going to finally call this shit out finally once and for all, dude. And I'm going to keep calling it out every single day after this, dude, now. Because fuck all them people, dude. You know, white liberals are 100% the fucking problem in this country right now, dude. And they're always the ones that go full-blown anti-white racism in this country, dude. So, anyway. But yeah, there also tend to be the people that are pushing these things like in Michigan there, dude. So, anyway, that's where we're at for the day, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one.